Welcome, guys, back to the Poor Investor. Today, like I said in my previous video, I was going to have someone on the Chia team, which is just as shocking to me because he's actually willing to sit here with me and go through all this. Richard, or Fish, if you would like to introduce yourself and your role with Chia.
Sure. Hi, my name is Richard Sao. I'm also known as Efficient. My responsibility is at Chia is to drive the NFT strategy throughout the company. And so I sit in the biz dev department, but I kind of straddle a lot of things from, defining the vision, working out the business side of things, and then driving the requirements to the product team and engineering team for implementation, and then engaging with the community, strategic partners afterwards to make sure that we have a very vibrant and healthy NFT ecosystem.
Okay, so now I have been noticing that you on Twitter have been engaging a lot because you've been tweeting more than usual from what I've seen so far ever since the NFT 1 launch. But I do have to ask you this. What is your history? And if you could just explain a little bit of what your history and what I'm trying to get at is how does one individual have that type of experience going into the field of NFT where none of it actually existed and up until recently? So how did your role fit into this whole NFT with Chia based on your past experience? And how did it relate?
So if anybody went out to my LinkedIn profile, you can go LinkedIn/in/efficient. You'll notice that I've worked about 25 years in the video gaming industry. So I started out as a programmer, but I always had a passion for gaming. And as I delved into the gaming world, I realized that if I wanted to really affect change in the gaming world, I had to kind of become a manager. So I kind of grew up being a manager and managing teams, but I just love playing games. And the reason why I love playing games is I have been and still am an introvert. And I actually felt comfortable being my true self online. And I saw precursor to the word metaverse, online worlds and online text. I use text mud.
That instantly reminded me of like Diablo 2 or something like that.
Yeah. So before even graphics existed, there were text-based online games called MUDs and moves. And I was involved with some of those. I even wrote a version myself that uses back in the day was what I call bulletin board services, dial-up internet.
Oh, yeah.
Most of you don't probably know what that is, but it existed.
I mean, you are definitely aging yourself, but
yes.
I mean, I'm thinking you're younger than me.
I'm probably older than you. I'm guessing. I'm 51.
No. Oh my goodness.
So
you are. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Okay,
Dude, I see your picture and I'm looking at you right now. I'm thinking you're like 36.
Young at heart, man. Young at heart.
Oh, boy. You are older than me. I'm 45. Oh, okay. Wow. Damn. Okay. All right.
So I worked in the game industry for 25 plus years. And I got into it because I want to realize this holodeck metaverse world. Like that's why I got into it. As I progressed in the game industry, I realized they are no longer interested in getting down that path. They were very interested in doing the old ways of doing gaming. And I wanted to do what I consider the future way of gaming, right? You actually digitally owning your digital goods. You being able to take your virtual character from one place to another, right? And these are concepts people talk about in metaverse and what have you. But I thought gaming would have been the first to do that. And unfortunately, it isn't. Right?
I mean, I thought it was because in the early 2000s, I mean, there were certain games like Gunbound, right? I don't know if you remember that. And, people were souping up their cannons or whatever, and they were just literally selling it for cash off the computer. Like, I'll trade you, and then you just dump it and I'll grab it. I mean, I thought that existed some time now. Now, everything that you said so far has been really sophisticated and I guess sort of relatable to the whole NFT market now. But I do have to ask, ever since this whole NFT market, it's been nothing but profile pictures. What's going on?
I'll get to that. So my view is simply, I saw blockchain tech moving in the direction that I foresaw one day I like to see the game industry to go to. Okay. I don't think the game industry is interested in going that direction anytime soon. So about 3 years ago, I decided to quit, and I was working at Riot Games, just so you know, for League of Legends, which is pretty big in everywhere, to pursue this passion. Thanks to Riot, I could afford, not working for a few years to try to pursue my passion. And I looked around every blockchain tech out there. I really studied every blockchain tech, the pros and cons. And what I realized was I wanted a blockchain that had the following qualities. One, any gamer can participate and earn some crypto. B, the way you earn the crypto isn't burning out my GPU because I'm a fucking gamer. So I want to be able to use my GPU and CPU to play good games, right?
Correct.
And C, I wanted the ability where this infrastructure allowed me one day to be able to create these digital avatars and move from world to world and digital items associated with it, right?
Now, you just mentioned that a lot of these gaming companies are not interested in that. And why is that?
Because they are interested in maintaining their moat. Okay. So there's also gameplay reasons. So I'm not going to say it's totally because they want to control the moat, right? But there is definitely part of the reason is controlling the moat, which is they're incentivized to keep everybody into their game ecosystem.
Right. They don't want to cross-platform.
They don't want to cross-platform, right? Even you look at Sony and Microsoft, they can't get along to do cross-platform play. I mean, come on, cross-platform play. I mean, please, it's not that hard technology. No, because everyone wants to keep within. But I think the world is shifting now, right? With crypto, with blockchain, everybody's realizing, hey, wait, I actually do want to own my own stuff, right? So I think that mentality will change in a generation. It's just not changing fast enough in the game industry. So I'm like, I'm going to go to where people are, really want to do this, right? And what I'm hoping to do is bring my experience with gaming into the NFT space, right? Which is actually fairly lacking. If you look at what games or metaverse stuff coming out of blockchain is like, game companies have solved this like 10 years ago, but it's all new to the blockchain industry now, right? So long story short is Chia became the perfect blockchain choice for me to develop my ideas. But at the time, this was about 3 years ago, Chia was nowhere ready, right? Like conceptually, the idea was out there, right? I was just like, and then COVID hit and all these other problems. I was like, things are slow. So I just decided to help Chia by, and I'm a hacking programmer. I'm not a true programmer these days, right? Been, lobotomized being a manager too long. So I hacked some code and helped, advance Chia's cause and do some PRs. And then one day I had this conversation with Gene. He's like, hey, if you ever want to work with Chia, we can talk. And I felt that was a great way to help accelerate Chia's entrance into the metaverse.
Interesting.
Back in the day, which wasn't a conflict of interest. What I want to do was build an app that helps people, gamers, get into the, the blockchain universe. So
did you know someone at Chia? The person that you just mentioned, is that someone that was working at Chia already, or?
Oh, just so you know, 2.5 years ago, I actively started contributing code to the Chia blockchain. And Gene noticed my contribution, and we started talking over Keybase, and then that's how Gene offered me a job. So got it. Okay. So I always wanted to use Chia and build a dApp on it that helped gamers get into the blockchain world and create this long-term product I want.
On the white paper, from what you're explaining, doesn't speak any of this.
No, it doesn't. It's not. It's not something that became a really clear realization for Chia until Chia hired some people from the gaming industry, and it was not only me, right? The Saganas Jay comes from the gaming industry. Jordan, the VP for our PR stuff, also come from gaming industry. So once Gene hired a few gaming related execs, it became clear that there's a reason that Chia should go into this space.
There's a new market there.
Right. Well, I mean, just new understanding, right? It's not an expertise that both Bram or Gene understand intuitively because they don't come from that world, right? But Jay, myself, Jordan, and others in the company do. So it's easier once you have a critical mass of execs who understand it to explain it to people,
Right. So now what's really interesting, because even I'm new to whatever you're just telling me, right? Yes. I've never seen anything or heard anything marketing wise or any documentation stating this about games or being more active in the gaming industry with Chia. Now, from a perspective of a Chia farmer for the last year plus, right, and a lot of others and newcomers, we're looking at Chia as, it's going to go IPO, it's dealing with the SEC. But you're talking about the gaming industry. That's a whole new world that Chia is trying to get involved in, but no one knows about this. Why is that?
Well, let's be very clear. It's baby steps, right? Right. We are trying to build a generic blockchain. Okay. Yes, I am focused on just what I'll call the metaverse part of the strategy. But if you think about generic blockchain, it has to have a lot of primitives, right? One of the reasons why we don't really talk about particular market vertical we get into is we don't even have all the primitives ready for just the market verticals we want to get into yet, right? right? And you already
Right.
know there are certain ones we're building right now
Right.
that will help do that, right? Including, a production version of data layer. I think we've hinted and talked about DAOs. If I say something that wasn't so too, sorry, Paul. There's a few other primitives coming along the line that we are developing, and it's until we finish all those primitives can we really tackle and say, okay, now we can add on top of it to get into, let's say, the gaming industry, what have you.
Right.
So one of the things you hear me say a lot, that's why I've been engaging Twitter since NFT's launch, is I love to see the community go in this direction further, faster than what even Chia can do. As we get more primitives online, integrate those primitives into a new NFT standard, right? When data layer comes online, you don't have to wait, I say you, meaning the community, doesn't have to wait for Chia to figure it out.
Right.
We have enough smart people in the community. You guys can create a new NFT standard that's perfect for gaming that uses the data layer, right? Because, gaming needs more data to be stored and distributed. That's perfect to create the data layer primitive, right? That's my hope. So now the way you see me working, I shifted from internal evangelization of just getting NFTs done, which we successfully done, and the team's done a great job doing that, to now more external evangelization. Okay, I want to rally teams outside of Chia to create new boundary pushing ideas for NFTs until we get to those metaverse idea. And the reason why I say this is, let's be very clear. The journey to get there is 5 to 10 years. Okay. There's no reason for us to say, yeah, we're doing that when we're not even 10% the way there. So I don't think it's wrong of us to say we have aspirations to do that, but at the same time, don't really hype about it, because what are you hyping? You're hyping really very basic primitives, right? But what I'll say is anybody in the community who is going in that direction and wants to get some ideas, happy to bounce ideas. Wants to say, can this be possible, or what is Chia planning to do? We'll sign the NDA and we can tell you, here's what we plan to do, right? So I would say, yes, we are going to go into gaming and metaverse stuff, but that is what I saw an application idea, where our job as a blockchain company is still building the blockchain primitives for everybody to unlock their use cases. Gaming happens to be one of them. Yes, it's the $100 billion market, so it's a nice, healthy one. But that's not to say that we aren't going after other, I'll say, even bigger trillion-dollar markets, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, metaverse and NFT stuff is a small slice the bigger Chia pie.
It sounds really intriguing. I mean, I hope it goes into that direction. Now, one thing as you were saying that popped into my mind is business side of it. Gene and Bram and the top executives, are they looking at it at a way of saying, if we go this route, this many more nodes would jump on because they would start farming Chia, or they would start acquiring more Chia to get into this realm of video games and exchanging or buying these NFTs with XCH? Is that how they're looking at it, or are they just looking at it? Oh, it's gaming industry is a big industry. We should just get into it on top of everything else we're doing.
You have to ask them. I can't speak for them. I can say this with as an answer. When I first pitched, this is what I want to do at Chia, Gene grilled it fairly easily and immediately. So I would say just through his action, he's very supportive of those things. Right. So
now I've also noticed that Gene is very supportive of these profile pictures. On the other hand, Bram isn't.
Yes, but I don't know. Each person is their own thing, right?
Right.
I mean,
he did call it silly on Twitter.
Yeah, sure. For everybody, art is different. Right? I'm going to be very clear. There's certain types of profile pictures I like, but I'm not going to go snap out 100 profile pictures. I don't need more than a few, right? Like me personally, I don't need more than a few to represent myself. And unfortunately, for my business reasons, I can't even use them most of the time, because most people want to see who I am, even though my little green laser eyes kind of, it's like the only thing I could do, because for my role, right? People need to recognize who I am, right? Physically. Yeah. I think there's definitely a place for profile pictures, but I also think profile picture is a symptom of something else that people really want. They want to be able to show their alternative ego, alternative self.
Do you think that's what it really is? Because
I'm saying that's one aspect of it.
I
understand there are other reasons for it, and I'm not gonna talk about that side because investing and speculating in PFPs or just generating NFTs is not something I'm focused on. I know it happened. You understand what I'm saying?
But I do have to say, like,
yeah.
ever since the launch of the NFT one,
Yep.
there was a lot of self-promoting, self-pumping, and a lot of scams going on. Is that your responsibility to kind of remediate that as well?
I don't like it, obviously,
Right,
but I think what we try to do is provide better tools so the community can self-police better, right? One of the reasons why we added provenance, not only for the creator, but the digital identity, but we did say optionally attach it to, every owner can attach it if they decide to sign their, DID or profile to an NFT to a profile, is to help provide this visibility so people can decide on their own through what you can see on the blockchain, what kind of project you want to invest in. Whose PFP do you want to buy? Somebody that has kind of doxed themselves and show that they're a legitimate buyer, or somebody hidden behind this wallet address and then it's just trading between wallet addresses. You don't know what's going on. Right, exactly. Again, we can't change human nature. Right, this is human nature things, and no technology can fix it. Okay, if somebody thinks technology can fix human behavior, they haven't played games. They haven't played video games, right? Like I can tell you, video games, one of the key things we've learned is you can only try to put social constructs around good behavior. There's no tooling you can do to prevent cheating, right? Somebody will always find a better way to cheat in games, as in the NFT space. What we can do is provide tooling for social reinforcement of good behavior. You're starting to see people developing those tools for doing that, right? DIT verification from the creator side to those who are legitimately collecting and not trying to do watch trades are attaching their NFTs to a DID. I do that every time I buy something, or I receive something, so people let you know it's me who own it. So I think over time, what I hope to see is sort of like that eBay star thing. Your eBay stars will get rise because verified DID
and a good seller or a good buyer,
good seller buyer rises to the top because they dox themselves. And I'm not say full dox. I had to full dox because I work in Chia and everybody has no way. But you can just pseudo dox with just your Twitter handle, right? That's what we put in to help with this. Okay, and I hope the community will start leveraging and using that. They are already. Right? I mean, those who were in closed dev alpha with us, I've explained that vision. It's just, it takes time for them to develop stuff, right? I can't expect everything to be instantly happening. So that's why I'm more on Twitter these days, kind of instigating conversations around the vision and around how things should be done. So those who weren't part of closed dev alpha or those who are newer to the community are trying to look for ways to help make things happen. They get some ideas straight from the horse's mouth.
Definitely helps in that aspect. I've been noticing there's been more people adapting to Chia, but they get confused really easily because they don't know what's heads or tails. There's not a lot of current documentation saying any of this stuff because it's more like if I miss a tweet from you from last week and I don't see it, I missed that whole segment of what the hell is going on Chia. You know what I mean? So I think that's where the problem is. It's not like a one-stop shop, although there are, a couple websites that have Chia information or even YouTube, but it's just not, I don't think it's concrete enough. It's not solid. It's not coming from Chia themselves. But what I did want to also ask you before I forget is that you were glowing as you're speaking about video games. And I love that, right? You're still, even where you are now, and you're still like headstrong with video games. Now, what type of games are you interested in? What's your favorite gameplays?
I love massive multiplayer online RPGs. That's my favorite genre.
Massive, but I don't have online. Okay.
Yeah. It's called MMORPGs. The epitome, or the one that's well known most in the recently, obviously, World of Warcraft. But I've played almost every MMORPG in existence until about 4 or 5 years ago, when when I decided to actually pursue my passion.
So when you're playing this, were you playing it as a employment because you had to play it to learn it, or did you play it because you actually enjoyed it and you were getting paid at the same time?
It's a combination of both.
Oh, wow.
I will tell you, My wife hated it whenever I said I need
Oh
to do
my
research because research for me is
was
playing
playing
games. And it's not like an hour or two a day. It
You're
would be
that
like
guy I wanted to be. My
yeah,
goodness.
5 hours a day during work hours and then all of weekends. And then, yeah. So and my wife has a very funny picture. I'll have to dig it up sometime where when our first kid was born, they were on my shoulder and I'm playing a game. That's how I was taking care of my kid.
My
Okay. So,
goodness. All
yeah.
right,
So,
so
yes,
let's
I'm a
take
big
that
gamer.
example, World of
Yes.
Warcraft. And if anyone doesn't know, I'll just splash the screen so you guys can see what World of Warcraft is. Explain to me or the audience, as in elementary school, how would NFTs adapt to a game like that with Chia?
Okay, so I want to caveat this. It wouldn't work exactly the same, but I will
Okay.
tell you the ideas of what I like to see. Okay. In
Mhm.
World of Warcraft, when you first log in, you create a character. This is your digital representation of the character you're going to be in game. And you can pick your name, your race, what kind of basic clothes you look, and attributes, what have you. Those definitely could be an NFT, okay? Representing your character and your clothes and your items that you own. Where it's super different in World of Warcraft, when you load into World of Warcraft server, okay, you go into the game world, it's all controlled by Blizzard, World of Warcraft. Everything's controlled
Their
by
servers,
Blizzard.
right.
Their servers, what have you, which makes complete sense. You absolutely need these high quality servers to run these type of game worlds. But
in short, it's centralized.
It's super centralized.
Okay.
I can't bring my World of Warcraft character look out to any other game. That's it. I cannot do that. Now, people are going to say, well, why would you want to do that? It would break immersion and break gameplay and what have you. Well, I'm picturing seeing my young kids playing Roblox. I'm not sure you've ever seen Roblox.
I've seen many, yes. I do.
And Roblox comes closer to this vision. Again, still very centralized, but Roblox allows you to create different kinds of game worlds, and then you have the Roblox main character that goes into each one, and they may change the way your Roblox character looks and what have you, but they're getting there, right? Well, my vision of the future is, let's say you have a virtual character now you can create, and it's an NFT character, and you say, I have this shirt, okay? And this shirt is blue, got a little pink bunny logo on it, and has these attributes. When I go into a fantasy-based game, it will morph into this look. And if I go to a cyberpunk game, it will morph into this thing, okay? But you can still tell it's similar to that same type of shirt. So people can visually see and identify who you are. That's, to me, like the minimum bar I like to see in a cool, going from game to game,
Okay,
but,
so I do have to ask you this. If you go game to game, are you acquiring just the look of the character, or you're acquiring the game's special character's abilities, like the fighting style?
I'm gonna say looks minimally, but then depending on each game, how they cooperate with each other, you could do more cross gameplay type things. Okay. But that is way advanced shit. Like, this is not something you're going to see in the next 5 years. This is like 10 plus years down the road. But I do want to see that. Okay. So what it means is you own your digital self and your digital goods. But depending which game world you step into, certain digital goods may or may not be allowed to be used. You see,
didn't Nintendo do something like that?
They do. They have some cross-play, like, you can,
characters.
You
make your Wii character or Mii
exactly.
character.
So, like I said, again, centralized within the Nintendo universe.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So it's getting there, but the key thing is game developers have no incentive to make it cross-platform or cross-game worlds, because their monetization model doesn't allow that to work.
Right. Because what benefits do they get if they do?
They get none with the current system.
Right. What if they said, if you wanted to bring your character over to this game, we're charging you this much?
They could, like I'm saying,
fee, like an entrance fee.
Like I said, it's just not been experimented because everybody's making good money with the system they have now. So why disrupt it?
That is
true.
That's true.
That is the sign of a mature market. And video games is in a mature market state. It's like, why we make plenty of money this way. Why would you risk all that revenue for this, this
I mean,
idea?
it would be a huge impact on the expenses of a company to go this route, especially the
Exactly.
hiring of the engineers and redesigning the game in order to accommodate this. I mean, it's huge, right?
So I feel the best way to do this is from the ground up. You build some of the tech, you build some simple games, you work with indie game developers, who doesn't have the resources to do everything. So they want to share the load of wherever they can. And over time, as this becomes a thing, then the bigger games will come in. Oh, wow, it's working. It's all those whatever hiccups have been worked
Right.
out. So now they're on board. Now that's my vision. Okay, that's
Okay.
what I wanted to do, and that's what I want to build. And like I said, Chia is the perfect blockchain for this for two reasons. One is you can mine crypto before you have your own data that you need stored about your characters. But then when we have data layer primitive and you have the ability to store data about your game character within the data layer, you share it with each game.
The question is, Bram and Gene's perspective, are they letting you run with this, or you're still having to pitch this as an option for them to go about?
They're letting me run with it within the means of the company and balance with the priorities of the company, right?
Okay.
I'm a Chia employee. I want Chia, the blockchain, to be successful. Yes, I have this little passion thing I want to work on too, but I could do the math. Couple $1 billion industry. Well, in the beginning, couple $1 billion industry or $1 trillion industry. Which one should we go after first, right? So like, I'm realistic that they gave me a chance to even just get the NFT off the ground to a point where now the community can do something, right? It was so much harder for me to sell to the community. Hey, let's do this with no NFT primitive, right? Now that there is an NFT primitive, a lot of the ideas I'm explaining, the community can start, gravitating to.
No,
right?
It's not like Chia is going to create their own game to adapt this, but you would have to target the gaming industry in order for them to adapt it. You basically have to sell Chia to them to say, we want to do this, and this is your benefits. And so far, you're saying there are no benefits for them to go this route, though. How would you sell it? Let's just say you approach, I'm not going to mention any games, you approach the game that you really enjoyed and you think it will work with them. How would you sell it and say, this is your benefits of doing this? What would they gain from it?
That's the reason why I say it's baby steps. That's why I started with something simple. Like I said, we originally started with just the fine art world because there's very tangible benefits for the fine art world with the NFTs. Then we explore that, and then we'll go into another adjacent industry that gets closer and closer. You think of games. Game is the culmination of art, music, graphics, animation. We have to tackle each one of these separate industries anyway before we get to gaming. Gaming is a culmination of all this type of media, right? Not just one. So if you want to ask what my strategy is, simple. I'm going after each little slice and showing them the benefit of that each individual. And then when combined and they're all working and it's proven, then it's easier for the game companies to go, oh, wow, okay, the art side is dealt with, the music side is dealt with, all these other components dealt with, then it's much easier to put a proof of concept on top of that. So it's a long journey. It's not going to be next year.
We're definitely in the infancy stages.
Exactly.
And I have to say right now, for the longest time, I've made videos bagging NFTs, all right? Because I just didn't, I kept saying I didn't understand. And everyone said, you just don't want to, I truly don't. And I never got these pictures. But speaking with you, it's whole different concept, whole eye-opening experience in the world of NFT plus gaming, which to me now makes total sense. Now it has a reason for its being, not just because we're trading, crypto for profile pictures.
No, absolutely. But again, the Overton window hasn't shifted yet. The technology window hasn't shifted yet. Having worked as a strategist for many other game companies, one of the things I always have to do is figure out what are the baby steps to get there. What I just told you is the guiding star, the 10-year roadmap of where we're going to go.
Honestly, I don't think it's that long from now, considering how crypto grew in this short period of time. Yeah.
So now I'm just trying to get each baby step going along the way for Chia and explain why Chia is the better blockchain to do this. Right.
I mean, there's a lot of competitions, though.
There's a lot of competition. But like I said, which competitor can you say allows you to farm crypto while playing your game and storing a copy of your digital owned items?
Right.
when you take those three things, which is what I needed when I was looking for a blockchain that I wanted to build my concepts.
Because everything, all the other cryptos, as far as I can think off the top of my head, all those three components are separated.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
On one tech stack. Because it's hard enough to deal with one. Why do I have to deal with three?
Exactly.
Right?
I agree. Yeah. My goodness. This video definitely took a whole different approach. We went down this rabbit hole of NFT and gaming, which really enjoyed so much talking to you about that. And I would love to have you back on going forward.
No problem. I'm so happy to be able to talk about this now. The reason why I was being quiet is I wanted us to have the breathing room to actually develop it. Right. I don't like overselling something.
Of course.
But now we have something. I'm happy to talk about the North Star. I'm happy to, bring on another guest who wants to do something, and we can brainstorm on the fly of how the baby steps they can take to make them successful. Right. Because it isn't just, hey, I want this now, because you can't get it now. It's what are the baby steps you have to take to get there, and that's the hard part.
All right. Okay? Oh my goodness. Efficient. That's Richard. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know you said you contributed code for Chia in the beginning, so that means you were farming. Are you still allowed to farm now?
Yeah, we're still allowed to farm.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was no rule that you weren't allowed to farm.
Okay. How much are you actually?
I don't want to say.
All right. We'll
Thank you for asking, but I don't want to say. But I'll say I was an OG farmer.
Whale status. That's all I have to say.
I have OG plots, OG farmer. I'll just say it that way. I never done a NFT plot because I didn't want to be plot. I never converted.
So you're solo all the way.
I'm solo all the way.
Only whales can afford to do that, guys. Oh my goodness.
No, it just means it means I'm very patient. I'll just say it that way. I don't look at my farm every day. Okay.
All right, Richard, I thank you so much again. I appreciate you joining me. And of course, any last words of advice for these NFTs that are on Chia right now?
Just keep on pushing the boundaries of NFTs. I mean, you guys get to hear where I want to go, and every project that pushes the boundary makes it us closer to that dream where Chia will be the preferred blockchain for online gaming. That's what my hope is.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Richard. Thank you so much. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.